All right, well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another video. I'm doing this video as a bit of a general video, just an update video. I will throw in some of the footage. So where are we now? What have we been up to? There's been a few videos come out recently. And where are we and why are we doing things? So I did the recent fork oil change video. So it's now got a slightly heavier weight of oil in it. So I'm going to do some rebound bounce and testing and see if it's kind of doing what I want it to do. Obviously I won't know for sure until we try it out on the road, etc. But it'll just give me an idea. I was right at the end of the rebound adjustment, if you remember, to get a nice smooth kickback off the rebound. And so I wanted to be able to have a little bit of margin for that. So we've done that. So I'm going to do a bit of a bounce test. The other thing I've been doing is with this equipment has been changing my own tires. And so far I've changed 3 tires. I've changed the rear for a brand new Continental. These are, what are they? I just found them for cheap. They're brand new for the road and Conti Sport Attack. So these are going to be my road tires, and if the weather is a little bit rough on my next track day and it's a bit wet, I'll just use these and go steady. Because I also did this one as well. Look, so we've got front and rear swapped out. The other tires weren't too bad. The original Bridgestones weren't too bad, but they were getting a little bit worn, a little bit squared off on the rear. So I just wanted to get rid of them and try out these as well. So just give me a moment. I'm going to come back. And then the third tire that I swapped was on this wheel. So this is a wheel that I bought from eBay. It's from an FZ09, I think, FZ09. So it should fit. I'm going to try it out, obviously, first before I get to the track. It's got no... Where is it? There. It was already there. It's got no speedo ring. So I won't have the use of a speedo if I use this wheel, unless I go ahead and try and drill this out and find one, but really not too bothered at this at the moment. And the aim of this is that I bought some used takeoff slicks, as used on an Aprilia RS660 in Moto America. And they're not too bad. There's a little tear. It looks to be a hot tear, not a cold tear, so it hasn't taken chunks out of the tire. It's just some surface tear, which I'm sure we'll clean up. And these were like $100 for a rear and a front tire, and it's like a soft front, medium rear. So I'm excited to actually try these out. One of the reasons I wanted to try a slick, well, I've never run slicks before, but the profile on the rear Bridgestone 55 profile is quite a shallow profile. And these, which are a 180/65, have a more pronounced curve on the tire. And I was finding that I was on the edge of the Bridgestone original. So there was no like chicken strip left, if you want to call it that. I was on the edge of the rear, but nowhere near the edge on the front. And I just kind of want to match it up. I want to be able to make sure I'm not like falling off the edge of the rear. And yeah, I just wanted to try out a slick. I've never run slicks before, so I thought for $100, I can take these. I'm looking for a front wheel still, obviously, but we'll see if we get one or not in time. So I'm looking for a front wheel, and I can fit the front tire on that. And then, yeah, I'd like to run these slicks and see how they go. I won't run them immediately. I'll do like the morning sessions on the Contis, and then I'll put these wheels in if I get the chance, even if it's just the rear. Now that will stack up the rear slightly. You know, I think I'm going to measure it, but I think the overall diameter will be a little bit larger than the Conti and the stock tire. So that's going to push up the rear and put more weight on the front again, which I was trying to avoid. So again, we'll see if I feel that or not. But yeah, so that's a few updates. I will throw in some bonus footage at the end of changing tires on the machine. It's not the most fun thing to try and film because it's a lot of huffing and puffing and sweating and horrible, you know. It's not the greatest, smoothest of production videos, let's say. This was the worst tire by far to get off. This looks like an original from like a 2014 bike. Look at the profile on it. It's almost dipped in the middle like that. So I don't know what someone's been doing with this, but yeah, that was an absolute nightmare to get off, and it bent my tire levers and everything, but we still managed it at home on the machine, so not too bad. Right, so I'm going to do a bit of a bouncy test on this. I need to check my pressures on the tires just to make sure that all the mounting's gone right and there's no slow leaks or anything. So I'm going to do a few checks and give it a bounce test and yada yada. Okay, so that's a bit of a problem. I've just been out for a very quick test ride, and I wasn't comfortable at all, and it was like, okay, what's going on here? And I thought, well, I'd set the tire pressure on the front last night as I wanted it, which I'm running very low pressures for the street, so that was 30 PSI. And I just got back and it's now down at 16. So I did change the core in the valve down here yesterday night, put the new silver cap on. So I'm going to check now where there might be a slow leak from. I think it's just from the bead sitting on the rim. So I can break the bead again and pop the tire back on with the air compressor, and we'll see if that cures it. But yeah, didn't feel great at all, and I thought, well, that's fine. I'll come back and assess, you know, don't knee-jerk react and try and force yourself through anything, pushing anything. So I'm glad I've checked now, and we can get that sorted out. Okay, so I'm going to add this into my little update video. So you'd seen that we'd recently done our fork changes and had the internals out, well, most of the internals out. But it seems that I had made a little mistake. What I was doing was measuring the position of the lock nut versus this. And I think there is a better way to do this to determine where the lock nut should actually be. You can see that I'm using my ratchet strap method again with the fork in the bike, and that has allowed me to compress the spring enough to hold the damper rod up and get the top cap off with the fork in the bike. You can kind of see how that works. You have to just be careful where the ratchet goes. Don't let it rub on any of the pipe works or anything. Just if you've got a clear shot down the side of the forks, then you can go for it. And this is the top cap, so let's have a look at this in detail. You can see that when the preload, the orange or brassy piece, goes up and down, that is independent of this middle rebound adjuster, in this case, on the right hand side of the fork. So what we're gonna do, so when you actually have this off the bike and you look at how many clicks there is on this adjuster, there's more than there is available on the standard setting. So when you get the bike from factory, you probably have around 14 to 15 clicks available from fully in to fully out. The adjuster, when you play with it off the bike, has something like beyond 20. So what we're going to do is wind it all the way out, then count 4 to 5. I'm going to pick 5, right? 5 clicks in again, so that's clockwise. Then what we're going to do is wind this down gently by hand. And what will happen is that the thing that pushes, you can see that circle there in the middle of the rebound adjustment or movement, actually sits on the top of this, which is the damper rebound needle. If you gently push on that, you can feel that it pushes in to the fork, and that's what's doing the valve adjustment of rebound. So what we're doing is we're clocking this 4 in, winding this down by hand until it sits right on the top of this needle adjuster. Then when we put the forks back together again, then we're going to have more like the 14 to 15 clicks of standard that we should have. So rather than using a measurement here of where the lock nut is, I'm going to try that method for setting the position of this on the damper rod. So we're going to try that and I'll let you know how that goes. Okay, so I actually found a different way to do it. So what I did was wind the 14 turns in that you would normally have, 14, 15 turns. And then it's hard to actually find the resistance of when you're screwing that on against that little needle valve inside, the little needle rod. So what I did was wind it in and adjust it until once I'd had the 14 clicks in, you can actually hold this and then see how many more clicks you can get in. And if you can only do one more click in, then you're about where you need to be. So you can wind this up and down until you feel that there's only one more click available after the 14 in. If you're trying to follow what I mean there. So there's 14 in first, then you wind this on, and then you kind of rotating this just till you find the sweet spot where you can feel that there's only one more click to go. At that position, you can tighten up the lock nut down here, and then you know you've got 14 to 15 clicks available when you back out, and that's where it was from factory. So that's what I've done. So now I'm going to button this back up, and we should be perfectly back to where we would have been if I hadn't messed that little bit up. Okay, so we'll briefly talk about balancing wheels once we've got tyres mounted. Some tyres have a spot like this, which you line up with the tyre valve. And this is supposed to be kind of the lighter part of the tyre. So we line that up with the heaviest point of the rim, which in theory is where the tyre valve is. Once we've done that, once we pop it on the balancer, we're just going to let it go and see where the wheel stops. And generally, well, the idea is that wherever the wheel stops at the bottom, see, it's just finding its bottom position. I'm just trying to make it quicker by stopping the wheel myself and just working around a certain position until I feel the wheel is coming to its own rest. So that's in this position. Now I do have the wheel weight that was on here on the other tyre, and that's just to see if by any chance, before I take that off, the wheel was balanced, and it's not quite. So I'm going to take that off, and then we will come back and find the hard spot, the heavy spot again. And to take the weight off, I've got one of these plastic sort of car trim removal tools. Sorry, it's not in focus. And that just kind of pops in to there. And with a little push, you can pop it off. So trust me, I'm not going to do it on camera because I don't want it to scratch up my wheel, but that's how I'm getting it off. So these balancers do come with like a bubble level thing. You can use that to give you a guide that everything's level. Right, anyway, the weight is off, so let's try and find our low point again. So I'm going to put the tyre valve at the 9 o'clock position. The wheel wants to rotate that way. And if I put the tyre valve at 3 o'clock, it wants to go that way. So the heavy point is somewhere in this lower section. I stop the wheel again. It wants to rest up around here. So there's a tyre valve. And I'm just trying to find the heavy spot with some gentle movements. So I think it's round about this point here, so just to the right of that arrow. If I do that, it wants to fall back down, and if I do that, it wants to fall that way. So it looks like right there is the heaviest point of the wheel. So to accommodate that, we're going to add some weights here to the other side, sorry. A little bit of weight to the other side of that point to try and balance that out. Okay, so I've taped up 2 of my weights that I got from Harbour Freight onto the wheel, and now if I put the tyre valve at the 3 o'clock position, it doesn't really want to move. And if I put that here at the 9 o'clock and let go, it's just about moving. Interestingly, it's going that way, so I need a bit more weight, I think, in this position. If I put it up at the top, it doesn't really want to move, so we're somewhere close. I'm going to put a third one on, we'll see what happens. Okay, now we've got the third weight on, so if I put that back at the 9 o'clock and let go, it doesn't move. If I put it at the 3 o'clock, it doesn't move. Put it at 12 o'clock, barely moves. Put it at the bottom, doesn't move. So of all of those positions, it's moving a fraction, which is better than what I got with a standard wheel off the bike. So I am perfectly happy with that. Now the question is, do I tape these 3 on, or does the original, whatever this is, I don't even know what that means, 1.0, is it 10 or is it 1.0 something? I'm not sure. I think it's an ounce. I think that replicates an ounce, but I might be wrong. Who knows, but whatever, we need to know if this matches the same as this weight. So I'm going to weigh that, and if it does, I can put this back on. If it doesn't, and I'm going to use the adhesive on the back of this and tape those on. Okay, so let's weigh this weight. It's 0.4 of an ounce if you're American. Let's try grams. It is 10 grams, so I guess that's what the 1.0 means, 10 grams. So if that's 10 grams, what do my 3 weights weigh? 20 grams. So this, unfortunately, is insufficient, so I'm going to be using the 3 weights taped to the wheel. Okay, so I had taped a point on the wheel where I needed to put the weights, just so I was not going to lose that point. So I put the 3 weights on there, perfectly positioned at the 9 o'clock. Pretty damn good at the 12 o'clock. Pretty damn good at the 3 o'clock. So we know it's going to be good at the 6 o'clock. Or at least good enough. As good as standard, let's put it that way. All right. So what I like to do is put duct tape over the weights. So I'm gonna find some black duct tape on this black wheel. And I'm gonna try and find some blue ones for the blue wheels, blue duct tape. So we'll see if I can find some in Walmart or whatever. But yeah, that's the basic idea of balancing the wheel, and do not be too bothered if it's not perfect. The original wheel that we took off the front wasn't perfect. So as long as we are very close, we are good. So the good news is that I have cured the issues with the air pressure in the front wheel tire. I popped the bead with the tool again and just kind of smeared it with the tire mount paste, and then used the compressor to double pop the wheel back onto the rim. And I've been checking the pressure all day long now, and it's hovering about where I put it. So I'm pleased about that. So that's now back in the bike, and I've been doing this doing this balancing in the meantime. What I think I'll do, if you are interested, then let me know. If you're not, then I will just carry on regardless. But if you are interested in the tire changing machine or tool that I got, then, you know, put a comment below and I will gladly do another video about that, a little review or something. It's been great, you know. I've done some slight modifications. I had to modify this post over here in order to get the front wheel on. So if you want to see how that went, again, I can do another video on that. Sorry, I'm just watching the balance of this tire now. Anyway, so if you do want a video about mounting tires, then we can do that. But the R7 is in good health again, I hope. I'm going to take it for a ride tomorrow. So I might do an update video again tomorrow, but I'm going to end this video now. You've seen balancing the wheel, and you've seen the various changes I've been doing on the R7. But yeah, that's where we are. So yeah, track days in like 2 weeks now. So we're getting close, and I'm making all the preparations I can. Still need to find a front wheel for this. If I hadn't mentioned, right, there was a reason I put this tear on the right-hand side of the bike. So this is the right-hand side where the brake is. At Road America, there are more right-hand turns than left. So you would think, well, why would you put the tear on the right-hand side? Surely you want more grip on the right. Well, the point is about when you're doing more right-handed corners, the tire will heat up more on the right than the left. So we want most of the grip to be available on the left where the cold side is. So that's why I've put the tear on the right-hand side. I'm sure it'll clean up anyway, and it's not going to be any issues. But yeah, that's the reason why I put it on this side, this way around. And slicks, if you look, are actually bi-directional. You can have it on spinning right or spinning left. It doesn't matter. Anyway, that's the end of this video, and I'm not going to ramble on anymore. So tune in next time for more fun with the R7. Bye for now.